Hi, everyone. This is Tracy from the Fairborn branch of the Greene County Public Library, here to talk to you today about why you need a research plan for your genealogy. So let's go ahead and get started. Pull up my screen for you. So how many of you guys have done research and you've had to walk away and gotten frustrated, requested books, and they came in so much later that you couldn't remember why you requested them, get distracted, repeating searches, all this stuff happens when you do research, and then you run into the inevitable brick wall where you can't find any more information. Here today to help you figure out ways to get around it. So the first thing is the plan. This is the plan I use when I'm doing my research. There's 8 main points to it. Feel free to change these around, work with them how you need to. This is just what I do. I know this looks like a lot of information, and I don't work well like this. I work better with an example. So let's jump in and get started. First off, yes, I know it's a lot of work, but it'll help you stay on task. You can get every little bit of information you can find. You can save the goodies that are kind of related for later. You're not going to look stuff up multiple times, get all excited, get your hopes up. Yes, I found a document with the information I need, only to find out you've looked at it 4 times. Anyone can pick up your research. You can come back and pick it up later. And you will always remember the dreaded red book. I don't know how many times I have done research somewhere and been like, okay, it's in a red history book. I'll find it again and come back and there's 5 red history books and I have no idea which one it was. Our plan is going to help us avoid frustrations like that. Here's the example plan I did. It's actually a plan I have done for one of my great-grandparents. So my starting point is my background information, what I would tell a researcher and who I'm looking for. So I'm looking at Joseph Decker and Hannah Earnhardt. They're my 5th great-grandparents. And the information I have about them is who their children were. That's basically it. I know some more about Mary Decker because she was my 4th great-grandma. And I found information on her. So hers is a little fuller, but the rest of them are pretty sketchy. The problem is I can't find any information past Joseph and Hannah. I can't find anything on their parents, where they were from, or even before they got married. So through my research, I'm hoping to do that. My goal is my big family research goal for this branch. I want to know what country of origin the Deckers are from. Are they from Germany? Are they from Ireland? Are they from England? I've heard all of these possibilities. I want to find out which one's true. How am I going to get to that goal when I'm stuck and I can't get past Joseph and Hannah? First thing I want to do is find out the parents of Joseph Decker because I'm researching the Decker family. How am I going to do that? Does he have any siblings? Where was he born? As I've done research, I found these are possibilities of places he was born in. Are they right? I don't know. I've got to do more research to find out. Each document that I've looked at previously and I have reviewed have come up with different places where he was born. So I wrote them all down so I can research it further. When and where were Joseph and Hannah married? I have different dates, different places. As you know, this happens in your research. You have to go back and find more information to see if it's true. So this is the focus. What are we going to be looking for? How are we going to get a basis for our research? This is our research question right here. The first thing I did was I went back and I looked at the information that I already had. I had a copy of the history of Warren County. So I looked it up. What did it say? And it said Mary Decker's parents, which was my 4th great-grandma, was Joseph and Hannah. I know that. And that Joseph came in to Ohio with his in-laws. Okay, so he didn't come with his family. I can make some assumptions, some educated guesses about that. And I know when he came to Ohio. So prior to 1812, looking in Ohio for Joseph Decker is probably going to be useless. I found an article in the Western Star newspaper about an Earnhardt reunion, and it listed Joseph Decker as in the children of the Earnhardt family, meaning Hannah's parents. Questions that I came up with: were they Hannah's parents? Why was he mentioned in this paper? And what kind of a, sorry about that. What kind of an article was this? Was it an actual copy of it? Was it a digital scan? Is it the newspaper clipping from my grandma's house? And a will of Jacob Earnhardt, Hannah's dad, and it was a scan of the original. As I got to researching, I started looking online through databases, through Google, through other people's research, and found different books, different articles, different newspapers of where the family was that might give me some possible places to look for more information. So first thing I did under this large A, B, C, D, E, and trust me, it went on much further, was write down what specific material. Is it a book? Is it an article? Is it a newspaper? Wrote down as much information as I could find from the online source. When I requested it and where I requested it, was it through WorldCat? Was it through Search Ohio? Did I send an email to the librarian? Did I look it up on Google? Whatever I did, that was the first one. How did I access the information? And then what specifically did I request? Was it a specific, or what was a specific reason I wanted that source, that book, that article? Who was I looking for? When did I do it? Did I find anything? Like down here for Saints and Horse Thieves, I requested, I couldn't get the book. I was able to get photocopies of the pages that I needed on this date. They mentioned him on this page, but no mention of the Earnhardt. So I don't know if this was the correct David or a different David. Could it have been a brother, a father? I don't know. But it was information I learned, and I know I probably don't need this book again. Don't request it again. So you get the idea of what I did for every source. I did that for. The Western Star, I want to find out what libraries have it for these dates for this person. I haven't been able to find this information yet, so I've left it here, and I'll fill it back in as I continue my research. The evaluation of sources. So I went back to my source list that we just did in number 4. I said, I got it through Search Ohio and it's on Google Books. This is what I found out about it. Death certificates, I actually went to the Warren County office and found them. This is what I found. I had different locations for where he was born at. Again, information, I know I don't need to go back and look these up. I can find them. The next section was a working hypothesis. What assumptions am I making? Until I found documented proof, I was assuming who Hannah's parents were based on the information I had. Once I had it, it was confirmed. I'm assuming, since Joseph and Hannah came from Pennsylvania, that Joseph's parents were in Pennsylvania before they came. Why do I have this assumption? Number 1, Joseph Decker was in PA when he got married. Maybe his family's there, maybe not. Another book says they were in Pennsylvania. This kind of reminds you of why you came up with the guesses that you came up with. Sometimes you can't remember, like, why did I just assume they were from Pennsylvania? Could they have been visiting? Here's something that says they were from that area. Another assumption is his parents could have been dead before he came to Ohio. It could be why he moved with his in-laws instead of staying with his family. He could be estranged from his family. This is what I am leaning towards at this point in time. That's why I highlighted it, because he came with none of his family to Ohio. So I'm assuming he's estranged and doesn't have anything to do with his siblings or his parents. So I didn't quite figure out what I wanted to. I didn't find out who Joseph's parents were. So what do? I reassess my information. What do I need? What do I need to continue my research? So maybe if I find out where Hannah was born and where they lived prior to marrying Joseph Decker, I can find out more information. Most families back in this time, 1800s, kind of lived close together. They had to be close enough to meet. So did Joseph Decker live in the same areas as Hannah prior to getting married? Were they neighbors? Did they go to school together? Did they go to church together? Can I find them now in the census records or tax records? And goodies for later. This section for me gets extremely detailed, shall we say. For example, Mary Decker, the daughter of Joseph and Hannah, is my 4th great grandmother. I found mention of Mary Decker in an obituary of George Munger. It also had a mention of Joseph Decker in the obituary for George Munger. That was all it said. George Munger married Mary Decker, daughter of Joseph Decker. Had no other information about the Decker family, but had tons of information for the Munger family. So I wrote it down, what it was, where it was from, and where I found it. It was in a shoebox in my grandmother's cedar chest. So I can go back and look at it later when I'm researching the Munger family. Another thing I found was a book. It had tons of information on the Munger family. Just to mention again, Mary Decker, daughter of Joseph Decker. Not helpful with my Decker research at this point in time. Good to know to look at later. So remember, when you're doing your research, write it down, come back to it. I keep my research plan as a Google Doc. So when I'm any place, I can pull it up that has internet and I can look at what do I need? What am I looking for? What information do I have? How did I get here? I can look at that anytime and I can add to it and adjust as I find more information. So as sources come in, I can evaluate them, write down what I've learned, and continue to move on. Break down your goals into big steps. If you can't find who the parents are, trouble I'm having right now, break it down. Can I find a sibling? Can I find where he lived before? Make it into smaller pieces that you can achieve in a short time. And up to you is how long a short time is. Do you want your research to last a few hours? Do you want it to last a few months? Look at everything you already have. So many times I have overlooked documents, gotten excited that I found a date or a name and haven't read the rest of the document, carefully read it, and there's tons more information to be found and I just didn't look. Be creative. Think of other places. Can you use tax records? Can you use census records? Can you use school records? Can you use a town index? Be creative in what you're looking up. And because you're taking such good notes and have such a good plan, you can take breaks and come back later as more stuff is added to Family Search and Ancestry. Documents are always being added. These databases are always growing. And having a good plan allows you to set stuff down and come back later, not duplicate your work, and continue your research. And be your own client. Think about what you would expect in a researcher. With these types of plans, they're supposed to be short-term and quick. Think about if you were paying someone $150 an hour to research, you're not going to give them, I want to know how I'm related to Charlemagne. You're going to give them something very specific, very bite-sized that is achievable. So just try to remember that when you're doing this kind of plan and your research, small bites and you'll get there. Hopefully this will help you out with your research and enjoy the hunts.